So on Saturday, Austin FC will be playing against Philadelphia Union for the first time ever in club history, but this is the first game of their 2023 preseason. For both teams, they had an incredible run in 2022. Austin FC shocked the entire MLS from being second to last place in the Western Conference to reaching to the Western Conference Final in their second year, a complete 180 turn for the Red and Black and the biggest achievement in their club history. For the Union, they were a team that the entire MLS slept on the most, but once they scored 7 goals against DC United, that's when you realize they're a different team and not to be messed around with. Before that game, the Union scored 22 goals, but after the last 15 games of the regular season, they scored 50 goals, ending the year with 72 goals in 34 games, which is a really crazy thing to say. But one thing that both teams have something in common is that they both lost to LAFC. Austin FC lost to LAFC in the Western Conference Final, but the sad thing that sucks the most for the Union is that they lost to LAFC in the Supporters Shield race on the last game of the season, and even worse, losing to LAFC in the MLS Cup Final. If it wasn't for Gareth Bale's header in the 120th minute, the Union would have made history, winning your first title and scoring 72 goals in one season. But it's soccer, anything can happen. But in this preseason game, Austin FC is going to have new faces in the back four. The sad thing to say is that Ruben Garbiesen has left Austin FC to join his boyhood club Lily Storm SK. And the biggest thing and the biggest factor that Garbiesen gave us in our second year that we lacked the most in our first year was leadership. Every time we saw Garbiesen get the ball, he would always control it and always defend, block shots, passing, all that. But now it is time for Julio Cascante to take that role of leadership and see how he does it in his third year with Austin FC. He's gonna miss his partner, but this time he's gonna see how it is to be a leader now. Because a new player we have signed is Lo Bison. Lo Bison is a Finnish player who's gonna be with Austin FC in our next month for 2023 season. Bison is still not with Austin FC, but many people compare him to Gabrielsen. I would say the opposite of it, because the biggest factor that Bison has that Gabrielsen didn't have was his speed. Bison is a fast player, he can quickly adapt to difficult situations, and he's really a threat in the air. Something Gabrielsen had was difficult situations, he can adapt in aerial threat, but it was the speed that was the biggest problem for Gabrielsen. Because for Philadelphia Union, they had 2 players that scored, they were part of the 50 goals in 15 games. One of them is Daniel Gastag. Daniel Gastag scored 22 goals and assisted 15 times. He was included in the MLS Team of the Year. But the crazy thing is that in the last 15 games, Gastag scored 15 goals. So he was contributing a goal per game. So before that, he had 7 goals, but 15 goals, 22 goals for him. Another thing that's crazy about Gastag is that he is a midfield player, but sometimes he will drift or move up to the forward side or as an attacker when he was needed. Another player for Philadelphia Union is Argentinian forward Julian Carranza. In 2022, Carranza scored 14 goals and assisted 6 times. So a combination of the 14 goals of Carranza to Daniel Gastag's 22 goals, both had a total of 36 goals. Which is crazy to say is that the Union scored 72 goals, but Carranza and Gastag were half of those goals. Both contributed the half of those goals. But despite being a friendly or preseason game, hopefully Josh Wolf has a lot of confidence for Julio Cascante, as Cascante, like I said, has to take the role of leadership, and hopefully he leads it up to the 2023 season. Because in the midfield, there's going to be a battle of Vino Tinto players or a battle of the Venezuelan players, Dani Pereira and Jose Andres El Brujo Martinez. For Dani Pereira, he had an incredible second year for Austin FC. He had 2 goals and 2 red cards, but what we loved him the most was he was a player who loved to be in the 6 the entire time. And the 6 is the term of saying he's a defensive midfield player. And Dani Pereira, when we had him on the field, he would always break the high pressing or break the barrier of any counter pressing of any opponent, mostly on the defense side. Because Dani Pereira was led the team with the highest passing rating, that was 89%, 1,142 passes out of 1,283 passes, while he was second best with the most dribbles, and that was 73%. El Brujo Martinez for the Union, on the other hand, he's a player who likes to be mostly on the midfield, as a center midfield player, but likes to stay in the back if he likes to decide to be in the 6, just like Dani Pereira. El Brujo Martinez led the team, was second best with the most highest rate, and that was 78.6, so close to 79%. But he was best with short passing rate, and that was 86%. So let's see how both of these players are going to be facing against each other. Also, another thing about El Brujo Martinez is that he led the team with the most tackles, and that was 61%. Another player in the midfield for the Union is Jack Elliott. Jack Elliott scored 2 goals in the final against LAFC. A great contribution, a key factor to that MLS Cup run despite losing. For Jack Elliott, he had the most dribbles won, and that was 79%, but his best contribution for the Union was the most clear since clear balls was 89%. So it's going to be interesting to see the midfield of Austin FC and the midfield of Philadelphia Union. Because for the Union, they have 3 important players in the defense side. 3 players who made it to the MLS Team of the Year, and that's one of them is goalkeeper, 2-time MLS Goalkeeper of the Year, Andrew Blake. Andrew Blake had 15 clean sheets. What I love about him is his acrobatic saves and his quick reflexes. 15 clean sheets, and he had led the MLS with the most saves, and that was 83%. So he had 99% saves at 126 attempts. So because for Austin FC, we're going to have a new number 9, and that's Gyasi Zardes. If Zardes is going to be playing against Philadelphia Union, he's going to have a hard time scoring any angle if it's a high or low ball against Andrew Blake because of his highest, acrobatic skills and quick reflexes. But I like to call these 2 players for the Union the brick wall of the Union, and that's Jack Glensis and Jacob Glensons and Kai Wagner. For both of these players, they made it they were 2 players in the MLS Team of the Year. Kai Wagner led the team with the most assists in back four with 8 assists. He had a contribution of 60.4 dribbles, and that was basically 29 wins out of 48 attempts. He was a key factor in the defense side for the Union. Jacob Glensons led the team with the most blocks, and that was 44 blocks. His best attribution for that was 31 shots blocked and 13 passes blocked as well. So when it comes to Austin FC, we're going to rely on the new number 9, that's Gyasi Zardes. I hope Zardes scores a goal in this preseason because Urruti is a hot and cold player, but I would say we're going to give Urruti some playing time against the Union, but let's see what happens. For our right wing side, it's going to be Rigoni full picture mode. I hope we get to see him start to see what he gives us in this preseason, but I still have more confidence on Ethan Finlay, because Ethan Finlay, despite scoring 6 goals, he had a great role in that right wing side when Cecilia Dominguez left. But with Rigoni now, we're going to give Finlay some resting time, and let's see what happens. Because this time, Driussi is going to get some resting time. We're still going to rely on him. He's our new number 10, but with Zardes as the number 9, Driussi is going to give us what a midfield player he is now, because last season he was a midfield player but scored 22 goals plus the 3 in the playoffs, 25. But let's see what happens. Austin FC versus Philadelphia Union, a preseason game that doesn't really matter, but for us, we want to see what kind of improvement our team has become with new faces and old faces as well, and let's see what Josh Wolf has for us in 2023. But for the meantime, I hope this video was understandable. I'm glad to be back making this video for 2023, the first video of the 2023 year. But for the meantime, my name is Manila Mexican 17. Stay hydrated, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.